When someone gets the chance to contemplate later in life whether gender transitioning is best for them, one of the things on the list of feared outcomes for female to male is the dreaded trans voice. If you've heard a prominent transsexual named Buck Angel speak, you instantly recognize the vocal quality. Often referred to as a form of what's called vocal fry, the creaky, nasally resonance has been cited as not only a dead giveaway of an otherwise visually passable trans man, but also a point of unpleasant experience for those listening. And while it isn't true that all male-appearing individuals who have this vocal feature are trans, take Terrence McKenna or Ben Shapiro, for example, there still remains this uncomfortable awareness that many people would sooner tune out than tune in to someone who sounded like this, if they didn't quickly make a good persuasive point or first impression. When the motivation of some trans people in transitioning is to be seen and accepted for who they feel they are, this can be a very painful point to reconcile. In this video, I'm going to help trans men who may be struggling with this insecurity, and for other curious listeners, I hope you'll stay and have some tea as well, because there's a seat and a takeaway in here for you too. Welcome to Tea Time, my friends, a place where I muse about my gender transition experience and in the process aim to comfort and inspire others to a greater level of self-awareness. I am Artemis. And as I contemplated the costs and benefits of transitioning for myself in my early 30s, high on the list of things that I had to come to grips with was the chance that my voice would not deepen as I wanted. In fact, there was a chance that it would come out sounding worse to me than I had previously felt my voice to be. After my vocal changes seemed to stabilize 2 years into my transition, I personally felt that my voice was satisfactory, given that I had started hormone therapy much beyond puberty and my chances thus higher of developing this unsavory fry. Would I like to have sounded like Sean Connery or John Wayne? Sure. But I'd settle for anything that didn't make me sound like someone who would complain that the sky is blue. Well, actually, being on YouTube earns me the opinion of anyone who takes the time to leave one, so long as I leave comments on, which means there will be people upset enough by my videos to want to make sure I know about it. I had done a video with another content creator, and someone dropped the dreaded mention that they could not even listen to what I had to say because my voice was simply too obnoxious. Now, generally, I don't take things personally. However, when this came up, I was immediately concerned that my well-meaning intention to bring empathy and insight on the politically nuclear subject of transgenderism would be drowned out by the perception of my voice as a chronically miserable yelper.
Emergency! Over here, emergency! I would like a table inside the area with all the little plastic balls, please, and make it snappy. I am a food critic for Yelp.
I began researching vocal coaches, started exercises that if anyone pulled up to see me at a red light might worry that I need 911 assistance, and for the first time doubted that what I was hearing as pleasurable in my own voice was actually awful to some of the very people I was trying to reach. Then, in my searches, I found a video by Dr. Jeff Lindsay. I will link the video in the description below because what he had to say allowed me to find my sense of confidence again by reminding me of two things. One, that other people's perception is informed by their opinions and doesn't have to determine how I feel about myself. And two, that people who are unable to listen to helpful information simply because of the way it sounds are operating in a psychology that is heavily influenced by their limbic brain, aka the emotional brain, and are unlikely to benefit from logic anyway. Harsh as that may sound. It's a bit like trying to reason with someone who is perpetually hot, hangry, and tired. Air conditioning, a sandwich, and a bed are the only acceptable language offerings there. I still recommend giving Dr. Jeff Lindsay's video a listen for greater detail of the things I'm about to summarize, but for those that just want the recap and as it relates to our topic, here's the first point. Vocal fry refers to a quality of someone's voice that sounds like rapid clicking or creaking, and when paired with a higher pitch or a nasally driven delivery can indeed be displeasing to many. This is due to the fact that in order to produce this sound, the vocal cords contact each other in a chaotic fashion, versus a smooth resonance created by the cords contacting one another in a rhythmically consistent frequency. As it turns out, chaos, even on this level, is something that tends to upset people without them quite being able to articulate why. However, Dr. Lindsay goes on to reveal an interesting inequity to this observation. When females perform vocal fry, it is interpreted as slovenly, entitled, and obnoxious. He uses this clip to demonstrate both the sound and the reaction people have to it.
Can I get you?
I'd like a large coffee.
Okay, so hot coffee.
Hot coffee.
Okay, room for cream.
Totally leave room for cream.
Why are you talking like that?
Why are you talking like that?
Because this is my voice?
This is my voice.
No, it's not. I heard you talking a minute ago. I know you don't talk like that.
Neither do you, because nobody actually talks like this. You choose to talk like this, and today I chose to talk like this. Pretty fucking annoying, isn't it?
Why are you so rude, man?
Just stop doing that.
I can't help it. This is my voice.
No, it's not. It's an affectation that annoying teenagers and rich people use to sound like they don't give a shit.
However, when males, especially with a deeper voice, solicit this auditory oddity, some cultures laud this as a feature of distinguished intellect. Here are characters he also cites as examples.
It's funny, I thought you'd turn up sooner or later. Sit down.
Good show. And now I must continue my search for the helpless little lad.
Suddenly, the harsh comment that started my exploration made all the sense in the world to me, and lined up with what I had been experiencing since I stopped being seen by the general unsuspecting public as female. Once my voice had finished maturing, I had received compliments from people on the nature of my supposedly calm, intellectual, and positive masculine voice. However, this commenter on another channel knew that I was female, perhaps did not want to entertain my opinion, and thus found an ad hominem argument to justify their dismissal, the logical fallacy version of TLDR, lending support to Dr. Lindsay's researched observation that female vocal fry is frowned upon, while male vocal fry can be celebrated. Of course, I could be wrong about the commenter's intent, and it could have simply been that my voice was truly so horrible for them that they could not listen further. I'm willing to accept that. We don't all experience life the same, and certainly I wouldn't want someone to suffer in that way. Once I accepted that my issue of insecurity was misplaced on someone else's perception of me, whatever their motivation in sharing, I began to wonder about the motivation of that person posting the comment. For a video that was about the ethics of transgender medicine, if the only contribution someone can make is to complain about the quality of the speaker's voice, it came across to me as someone who holds a disdain for the topic, but no logic to present to the debate. A feelings-based approach for which, ironically, those same people usually are chiding transgender individuals for, a point I made earlier. I can definitely see a reason for the resentment in the general public for what is being touted as helpful with so-called transgender medicine. The harms committed on youth in the name of gender-affirming care is enough to make an argument of strong evaluation. Separating and addressing these atrocities from the benefits to some of the medicalized transgenderism is just one hurdle that makes it very difficult to have nuanced conversations on the topic. I have empathy for the commenter and likely the millions more who feel the same way, should my conjecture be correct. At the same time, I do not have to allow their perception or judgments to dictate how I see myself. If you're a trans man with a distinctive vocal fry, while you may not be a crooner like Frank Sinatra, you also do not have to bear the upset or short end of the double standard set by others that comes with being trans and biologically female. Anyone willing to dismiss you for the sound of your voice hasn't yet learned that they don't need to like something to benefit from it. And owning what you have and using your strength to speak for you can go further than voice alone. If you're the curious listener coming to this video, thank you. Here's the takeaway I promised you. Learning to separate your sense of self in some ways from the judgment and perception of others is one foundational principle for creating a solid center of confidence and improved mental health. This has been proven difficult for adolescents and young adults whose psychology is primed for dependence on social acceptance, but as we age, we are generally relieved with this permanent drip of a drug.
Fuck 'em all. When prescribed by your doctor, fuck 'em all can significantly reduce your ability to give a
Additionally, learning to recognize when your limbic system is agitated and driving your decisions is a level of self-mastery that gets you closer to true free will when you manually override them. As in, choosing not to flip the bird at the person who cut you off in traffic, or shortcutting your work just before a lunch break. Easier said than done, I know, but it's a practice. One last note that I'd like to add. While we're on the topic of vocal quality, has to do with the complaint I've been hearing from detransitioners, females who try to medically transition to male to varying degrees, have been talking about experiencing crushed vocal cords due to the effects of testosterone. They say that talking is painful and that it is caused by the physical changes testosterone has on the vocal cords themselves. The idea is that there isn't enough room in the throat for the lengthening and thickening that occurs and leads to a deeper voice, and so the pain comes from the impingement. An Adam's apple for a biological male allows for this extra space. I've been on testosterone for 6 years now, and there were several years in the beginning where I noticed this same discomfort as well. In my research from vocal coaches, I had learned to relax my throat and move air differently. I hadn't even realized that I was straining, which apparently is common for many people in general. As someone who has medically transitioned in some ways, it would make sense to me that we would have discomfort for a period of time as our anatomy readapted to the physical changes, rather than it being an issue of enough space. Muscle memory would have us attempting to operate the way we had been used to for many previous years, but with this relatively new structure, which would lend to an incompatibility initially. Essentially, it's like trying to walk in a pair of Converse sneakers and then throwing on a pair of high heel shoes instead. These days, I no longer have issues with discomfort, though I do notice that if I am stressed, I lapse back into old patterns and cause fatigue with my voice sooner. Maybe these detransitioned females are genuinely experiencing an unfortunate permanent physical misalignment, but I also think it's possible that they have not given their body the time needed in years to adapt to these changes, nor are they attempting to learn how they should now be speaking to reduce their fatigue. Respectfully said, psychologically, they are wading through regret. And with that, it's more likely that someone would describe their situation as inescapable damage rather than stepping back to see what else might be occurring for a better understanding. This is reasoning from an emotional limbic system, ironically, as we discussed earlier, and can be responsible for leading us to a feeling of helplessness. As always, I give these perspectives simply as alternatives to consider, with the goal of objectivity and open-mindedness to achieve as much balance as we can for our own lives. Thank you for joining me, and if you appreciate what you hear and you'd like to help the channel, please visit the links in the affiliate section in the description box below to see if you'd enjoy some of the same things that I do. We live in an age where money is often made by thinking outside of the box, and while you most certainly can use the Buy Me a Coffee option to send thanks, the affiliate links are for products I either use myself or have researched and trust enough to recommend them for their intended purpose so that we can both benefit from your choice to spend. Whether it's learning to legally exit personal income taxation in the US, purchasing cryptocurrencies, or treating yourself to the little pleasant things in life, I aim to find something that adds quality to your time here. Take care, my friends, and I'll see you next tea time.